Welcome to Crossfire Conversations, the real history of gender. It's not what you've been told. Episode 5, The Present Moment, A Divided Nation. In June 2015, rainbow lights illuminated the White House. The Supreme Court's decision in Obergefell v. Hodges legalized same-sex marriage nationwide. For many Americans, it felt like the culmination of decades' worth of struggle. But history rarely ends at celebration. It evolves. 5 years later, on June 15th, the Supreme Court ruled in Bostock v. Clayton County that discrimination based on sexual orientation or gender identity violates Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. The decision hinged on a single word: sex. Justice Neil Gorsuch, writing for the majority, argued that discrimination against transgender employees necessarily involves discrimination because of sex, a textual interpretation, a constitutional turning point, and with it, the national conversation shifted again. The debate was no longer centered primarily on sexual orientation. It moved toward gender identity. But the groundwork had been forming for years. In 2013, the American Psychiatric Association released the DSM-5, replacing the term gender identity disorder with gender dysphoria. The change was intentional. The goal was to reduce stigma while maintaining medical access. Major medical associations, including the American Medical Association and the American Academy of Pediatrics, issued guidance supporting gender-affirming care under clinical standards. At the same time, new cultural tensions emerged. In 2016, North Carolina passed House Bill 2, requiring individuals to use public bathrooms corresponding to biological sex. The backlash was immediate. Corporate boycotts, national debate, partial repeal in 2017. But the conflict did not fade. It expanded. By the early 2020s, state legislatures across the country began introducing bills addressing youth medical treatment, school athletics, parental rights, and education policy. In 2022 alone, hundreds of state-level bills related to transgender issues were introduced nationwide. Federal courts began reviewing state restrictions, producing conflicting rulings. The Supreme Court may yet revisit this issue. Supporters argue that gender-affirming care reduces depression and suicide risk, citing clinical research and patient-reported outcomes. They frame the issue as civil rights, an extension of equal protection under the law. Critics raise concerns about long-term data, especially regarding minors, and argue that medical interventions require caution when consequences may be irreversible. Some emphasize biological distinctions in sports and sex-based protections. Others reject those distinctions as incomplete or insufficient. Both sides invoke science. Both sides invoke harm. Both sides claim compassion. And at the center lies a foundational question: what is gender? Is it primarily biological, psychological, social, neurological, or some combination that resists simple classification? And perhaps that uncertainty is what unsettles us most. For centuries, society anchored identity in something stable, whether it be God, the empire, science, or law. Now, even the anchor feels negotiable. Some call it liberation. Others call it instability. Some see overdue recognition. Others see accelerating confusion. But beneath the arguments, beneath the legislation, and beneath the headlines, there is something quieter: a fear of losing meaning, a fear of losing order, a fear of losing each other. This is not just a debate about gender. It is a test of whether a society can endure ambiguity, whether we can disagree without dehumanizing, whether we can hold difference without breaking. So perhaps the real question is no longer who is right, but what kind of nation do we become while we argue? The debate continues. The story continues. And we are the ones writing it. Thank you for following along on this 5-part series of transgender history. It's not what you've been told, with Crossfire Conversations. As always, Don't forget to like, share, and comment with any questions you may have regarding this series, and I'll be happy to answer them for you.